This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to the Batman Universe Comic Podcast, Season 14, Episode 9. I'm your host, Ian, and I have with me...
This is Steph.
And this is Theo.
And we have a slower week because for some reason they decided to only schedule Batman and none of the other crossover titles until next week. And we can't even get the anthology of short stories. So we are stuck with just one title to review. But we have a bunch of listener comments because you guys had an awesome conversation on the Discord. So we'll do some highlights from that. We also have some both sad and happy news. So let's move to the news, starting with, I want to just sort of remember Neil Adams and George Perez both passed away the last 2 weeks. Neil Adams, of course, is very famous for being one of the great collaborators of Denny O'Neil, who passed away a couple years ago. He is the co-creator of Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul. He kind of reinvigorated and reimagined Batman in the 1970s in a way that sort of made the things that Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli do possible. Like, he made it much more realistic and very dynamic. He was a huge force in Batman, and he was a huge force in creator rights. He really pushed for creators to get credit and be paid accordingly. So definitely a huge force. George Perez worked on Batman and things like Justice League and great crossovers. He tended to love all the heroes, so he wasn't often on solos other than his landmark run on Wonder Woman in the 80s. He did for Wonder Woman something similar to what Frank Miller did for Batman with Batman Year One and what John Byrne did for Superman. And both of them were really beloved by the comics community. I never had the chance to really meet either one, but I definitely respect what they did for comics. And so, rest in peace.
Not to say too much more on Neil Adams, other than what Ian said. He did a lot of great things for the comic industry, especially, as Ian mentioned, when it came to creator rights and creators being paid appropriately for their work. And so he should always be remembered for that. Yeah. George Perez, however, is one of those special guys to me. He is one of the four of my favorite artists. I always tell people that, on my Mount Rushmore of artists, it's Ray Fogel, Aparo, Jim Lee, and George Perez. I've had the honor of meeting two of the four on Mount Rushmore, but George Perez was not only one of my favorite artists; he's one of my favorite people. If you ever had the chance to just talk to him, and I've had a chance to meet him twice. At cons where he loved every fan who visited his table, and he took the time to speak to that person, get that person's name, and when he took a picture with you, he was genuine in that smile that you saw on that camera. He will always be one of my favorite people and will be dearly missed by this comic book fan.
Yeah, and the really cool thing for me about George Perez is that his work really feels timeless. He just has such a clean and gorgeous line and a grasp of anatomy that never felt forced or gratuitous, but beautiful and appealing all the way through. And yeah, what Theo says about his reputation is absolutely true. I've never met him personally, but every single person I know who has met him personally says exactly the same thing. One of the warmest and kindest people, and the world benefited from their lives, and it is smaller for their deaths. Moving on to light and lighthearted things, we had a 4-page preview of Batman number 125, written by Chip Zdarsky and drawn by Jorge Jimenez. If you had a chance to look at that, what does it make you feel about our upcoming new team?
Well, I'm glad that Jorge Jimenez is coming back, especially in light of today's Batman issue. The writing, I'm not loving the writing, and not because it's bad. It's just not my favorite Batman. This is like a very much a loner movie Batman feel rather than, I don't know, a happy Batman. But it could also just be the intense moment of the scene. Like, this is definitely not a badly written Batman moment. It's just not my favorite Batman moment. But that doesn't mean anything. I am looking forward to it.
Well, granted, we only got a few pages, but I remember when we were again talking about, who we want to see on which book. And, when Chip was doing either the Red Hood story in Urban Legends, or he was doing the stories in Batman Black and White. One of the things I made a statement about was that if he was to ever bring the style of writing that he brought to Daredevil and how he wrote Matt Murdock, that I would be all in for that. And it seems just from those few pages that might be where he's going. Now, again, I still do hope that he incorporates what he's doing in the night into his run. But the first thing that I saw, and again, if you haven't read his Daredevil, at least that last volume, not this current one, because I haven't picked up that one, but this last volume where eventually Elektra takes over as Daredevil. But Matt was kind of the same way, this loner, this dog. And when not to leak too much about the preview, when if you haven't seen it yet, but there's that one panel where Batman is just pissed, and the only thing that I could see is Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil. And again, I'm all in for that.
Yeah, I'm not blown away by this preview, but I definitely am excited about, for one thing, just Jorge Jimenez back. It looks amazing, as usual. And I also think that Zdarsky isn't, this is early pages. My guess is it's early in the comic, so hopefully we'll get a lot more character meat, which is what I've really loved about his Daredevil that I've read. I also am not super caught up. But I really like the complex way he's plotted around Daredevil, and I hope that he has similar things with the villains and the supporting characters, so it's not just Batman. But also, I want us to really have that connection to Bruce. Now, I'm kind of a weird Batman fan in that Tom King really was the first person who really connected me to Bruce himself. I've always loved Bruce's relationships with the Bat family, but the way Tom King wrote Catwoman falling in love with Bruce was the way I fell in love with Bruce as a character. So I don't know. I know that Zdarsky is working with Tini Howard, who's writing Catwoman, and he has strong feelings about Catwoman. I think he's writing a backup about Catwoman in this first couple of issues. So maybe that'll be a way in for me to enjoy his Bruce as well. But yeah, it was just 4 pages, but it's really cool. Let us move on to 2 other little bits of announcements. We had the tie-ins to Dark Crisis, entitled World Without a Justice League. We have how many? 5 of these. The first one was already announced with Tom King writing Superman and his son John. We also have Green Lantern by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's writing Action Comics right now, and Fernando Blanco. Wonder Woman by Teenie Howard, who's writing Catwoman, and artist Leila Del Duca. Green Arrow, written by Stephanie Phillips and art and Clayton Henry. And Clayton Henry's been posting stuff about Stephanie Brown, and Josh Williamson said that Stephanie Phillips pitched Stephanie Brown as a main character in this, so that might be very interesting to one of your hosts. We won't say which, but you know it's me. And then the World Without a Justice League Batman, written by Cy Spurrier, who is not writing anything current. Oh, no, he's writing Suicide Squad Blaze. I think that's still ongoing. That's a Black Label title. And the artist is Ryan Sook. And so we'll definitely have to be covering the Batman tie-in. I don't know. It'll depend on how connected the other tie-ins are to the Batman universe, but a couple of them probably will be. So any of these you're particularly looking forward to?
No. We'll see. I don't know.
What about you, Theo?
Not really.
I have to admit, so I'm looking forward to the Tom King one because you know I love Tom King. And that one has a backup by Brandon Thomas, so I'm excited about that too. I'm looking forward to the Green Arrow because I like Green Arrow, and there's a promise of, some Batman universe characters, particularly spoiler. And I have to admit, I'm not excited about the Batman one because I don't really like what I've read of Cy Spurrier's stuff. A lot of people really love him. I'm not one of them. I do love Ryan Sook. I think Ryan Sook on Batman could be really cool. So we'll definitely take a look at it. I'll try and go in, but I'm not super excited about it. And that one's not coming out till November, so we got plenty of time. The other thing that was announced is the team that wrote the 3-part short story, Sword of Azrael, Dan Waters and Nicola Chismasia. I believe that's a Czech or other Eastern European name. They're doing a 6-issue miniseries, and that Urban Legends backup, which is 30 pages long, 3 parts of 10 pages each, that's getting released as a standalone floppy, and I'm definitely getting that because I enjoyed that Azrael backup. I think this is really cool. This is the kind of thing I wish they were doing more of in Urban Legends. Instead, we're doing Batman team-ups, and the dog gets a 6-issue, 20-page each. We'll talk more about Urban Legends later, but I feel like Urban Legends is a waste of a concept. But this is exciting because Azrael's a really cool character. I love Azrael, and I hope that this really touches on, that torn between his faith and his duty and all those things that make him really compelling. Hopefully it's not too much on the Azrael is a bloodthirsty vigilante type thing that sometimes happens with him that I don't like.
We'll see.
I feel like I'm also the only Azrael fan on the cast.
I did not hate the Urban Legend story as much as I usually hate him in everything else, so we'll see.
Any Azrael thoughts, Theo, before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Like I said, I think I'm the only Azrael fan of the cast, so I'm excited, but everyone else can just ignore me. All right, that's all our news, so let's move on to our review of Batman number 123, which I believe is part 4 of Shadow War.
Batman number 123, written by Joshua Williamson with art by Howard Porter. Story 1. In Blackgate, Batman and Robin interrogate a Royal Flush Gang member who posed as Deathstroke in the past, who points them in the direction of his costume provider, where he met someone else. Ghostmaker and Batman Inc. protect Deathstroke's secret society from Talia's League of Assassins, while Deathstroke, Ravager, and Respawn investigate the fake Deathstroke's track in DC. Batman and Robin find the costume provider's heavily booby-trapped lair, but someone else got there first, drugging the tail and destroying any evidence. The false Deathstroke arrives, telling them to stay away. Deathstroke demands to talk to the Batman Inc. agent following him, the Hood, but a horde of Talia's assassins attack, killing Hood and Respawn, who jumps in front of a hail of bullets to save Slade.
So, what do you think of Bruce and Damian's interactions in this issue?
Oh, that was the highlight for me. Like, they're investigating, things are tense, and Batman's like, so how is camp?
Murder camp.
Murder camp. And then David's like, well, I kind of sort of maybe have a girlfriend now. Their interaction was the absolute highlight of the entire issue. I loved it.
It was okay, but it was weird. I enjoyed that part, as Steph mentioned, but the part that kind of caught me off was Batman consistently, or at least on several occasions, referring to Damian as son. I don't remember that being a regular thing, especially in costume. And so
it probably hasn't been, which is probably why he is doing it. Like, if their relationship is so tense right now, I really think he's doing that like as an olive branch. I don't know.
Yeah, it just felt weird,
Yeah.
Damian did it all the time, Batman was always father to him, but it just felt weird, seeing Bruce or reading Bruce doing things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that, but that's a really good note. And I think that Steph is probably right. I think Batman's desperately trying to make amends for that slip that he had where he seemed to blame Damian for Alfred's death. I think it was in the first Batman issue in the crossover. I thought it was fun. I do think that the action felt really kind of cliched, very like Indiana Jones, but it didn't reveal any of the character. Like, the thing about action is I think it should reveal character, and this one was just, oh, here's a trap, here's a trap, here's a trap. And I'm partly biased because I had to review Future State Gotham number 13 and it had the exact same thing. And I thought that was super boring too. So I'm just like, two things in a row feel really similar and not very creatively done. But the dialogue between them was fun. I will agree with that.
I will admit it was funny seeing that the Raw Flush gang member was more afraid of Damian than he was of Batman. That I got a kick out of that.
That was great. That was amusing. Who do you think the fake Deathstroke is?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of his sons. Have we seen his other sons yet?
We have not seen Joey, and Grant is supposedly dead, but it's comics.
It's comics. But I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not well versed enough in Deathstroke lore to know who would have it out for him.
Yeah, I can't see it being Jericho.
Yeah, he's very heroic at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one period where Apex Lex gave him all of that super goop, but I can't see it being him. The only thing I can envision is if it's one of his sons, it's Grant back from the dead somehow. That's the only thing that I could see.
I have to say that I think that the tunnel that we saw in the second issue of the crossover is very important. And I think that it might be Tara or someone else from that family, from the Markovian royal family, who have geo-bending powers.
Mm.
And of course, Tara and her entire family hate Deathstroke, so that would definitely be a motive. Speaking of Deathstroke's sons, another one dies. So how do you feel about the death of Respawn?
Oh, that was so sad. Is he really dead though? Maybe he's just really injured.
I'm pretty sure he's super dead.
Oh, that was so sad. And Damien, was looking forward. I don't know. I was sad.
Only thing that makes me think he's not dead is the idea of Roz consistently using him as a organ farm for Damien when Damien was always injured. So that
and he's Deathstroke's son, right? So he should have regeneration. Yeah. He'll be fine. He's fine.
Yeah, and there's still that, and there's always that name.
I mean, you might be right, but I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Well, then it's a stupid name. Then Theo makes a wonderful point. It's a stupid name.
It's a stupid name, whether or not it's true. I am kind of frustrated because killing off Deathstroke's kids feels really. It's been done a lot, and
they just created him. Like
it just feels way early to kill off a character. Like, I don't know.
And he's a baby.
It feels a little cheap to me. That's just kind of my feeling. Final question for this part. Has the art improved, degraded, or stayed at the same level for this installment?
Say that again. Has the art improved?
Has the art improved, degraded, or stayed at the same level?
I will say, if you force me to compare the last Batman issue to this issue, I would say
That's what I'm doing. Forcing you.
This one is slightly better, but not by much. Like, the scene of Deathstroke holding Respawn actually is quite sad and quite... They look like the age that they are. I was scanning through to find a picture to use for the podcast cover, and I just didn't want to pick any of them. They were just all... It's not my favorite artist.
So I will give Howard Porter credit for the Blackgate scene. Those pages I did not have a problem with. They actually looked pretty decent. But as soon as we leave Blackgate, it just went, just got bad. Those jagged, ragged lines came in again, and it just wasn't good. I don't know. I just don't get it. Like I said, I truly enjoyed his work on The Flash, but it does no justice to Batman here. It's just not good. Not good at all.
For me, it's the same level as the first Batman, which I liked better than my co-host, but I didn't love, and I really don't understand what DC's thinking. They put Victor Bogdanovic on the first issue, the Alpha issue, and that was really good. And
it was so good.
It just feels like it's been a really downgrade. And they haven't even had Gleb Melnikov on the crossover issues of Robin, which would have been great, because he's a great compliment to Bogdanovic's style. Not that Roger Cruz is bad, but Gleb is the name brand artist they put on Robin, and I feel like they should try and keep him there. All right, let's move on to our backup.
Batman versus Deathstroke and the Joker, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Trevor Hossein. Batman recognizes that Deathstroke has been poisoned by Joker toxin, but Slade runs off to kill the Joker instead of Robin. He kills Joker's henchman, but Batman stops him from killing Joker himself. Later, Gordon and Batman talk on the roof, and Deathstroke and his version of Alfred, Wintergreen, and the two duos separately decide to keep the whole adventure a secret from everyone else.
What is the point of a backup starring all of DC's A-list characters?
What? That's the question?
That's my first question.
To make you want to read the backup. I don't know. People love Joker.
This is such a waste of space. Backup should be used to expand the world, not just do more stories of A-list characters you can read about all the time, because Joker has his own story, Deathstroke has his own series, Batman has 5 of his own series.
That doesn't bother me.
Please see last episode where I discussed my disdain for backups these days.
They're not being used in a helpful, or it's so stupid.
I don't even care anymore. My standard is dropping to the point where it's like, I just don't want to be too confusing. So I don't care that they're A-list characters. I think that's great. I don't care that it's not building the story because my standards have dropped. I care that it's the same characters in the story they're telling, and it has nothing to do with it, and that makes it confusing because even that last one made it so unclear. The deck backup, it made it it was so vague. You were thinking it maybe had something to do with the story, but it had nothing to do with the story. And this one, they're teasing you. They're like, "Hey, look, it's about Deathstroke, but it has nothing to do with the story that you're reading." And then unless fake Deathstroke is Joker.
Oh gosh, that would be so stupid. It'd be bold, but it'd be so stupid.
This story has nothing to do with anything, and it's just confusing.
And it's not a good story. This is such a pointless waste of time story.
Please see my previous comment in a previous episode where I discuss how Joshua Williamson is doing too damn much.
Yes.
I mean, I thought the concept of Joker Toxin doesn't work on Deathstroke because he has regenerative powers. I thought that was kind of fun. But, like, that concept in these 2 issues is the only thing I found slightly interesting. Everything else was just, why?
Why does Batman save the Joker and not his henchmen? Is Joker's life more valuable than his henchmen? I don't think so. This story is just poorly constructed, and I agree, it very much feels like Josh Williamson is doing too much. So why didn't they put someone else on the backup? He doesn't have to write the backup.
Yeah. Especially when the backup is unrelated.
And let me also just say, Josh, if you're listening, I'm going to be at MegaCon, so please don't send anybody after me.
But you should get the good stuff he's writing and Robin signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't send anybody after me. I just know that I love you and I want you to be successful. And in order for you to be successful, you need to drop some of this junk that you're doing and just focus on the good stuff. Now, I do know you're leaving Batman, and at some point this Dark Crisis mess will be over, but your plate is overrun it, and it is not looking good for the home team because of it.
But keep up the great work on Robin. We still love that.
Yes, so good.
Never leave Robin.
All right.
Which probably means next month he'll be announced as leaving the book.
Oh my gosh, don't do this. I don't want this to happen. No. Let's give our Batman 123 a rating out of 5 Deathstroke costumes.
I will say 3 just because the Damian Bruce stuff is giving me life. I just wish it wasn't so ugly.
I will do 2.5 because of the Damian and Bruce thing, giving it a little bit of life. You know what? No, I will say a 3 because, again, I will give Porter some credit for those first few pages within the walls of Blackgate where the art looked pretty decent, and then it just went all downhill. So it'll be a 3 for me.
So here's my dilemma. Scott also gave this issue a 3 on the website in our written review. So we have a defined mode. So should I join the group?
No, vote your heart.
I think differently?
Vote your heart.
But the thing is, I feel like a 3 is pretty accurate. It's better than bad. It's better than like medium, which is 2.5. But it really doesn't stand out. Like, this isn't a standout issue, which to me is a 3.5. So I'm going to go with a 3, even though it might be me going with the flow.
I mean, they're all standout, just not for a good reason.
You're not wrong. So that gives the average a complete 3. I mean, 4 threes means the score is 3. Just 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. 3. Mode is 3. Median is 3. Average is 3. Everything 3.
It's 4 votes.
Now my brain is broken and I don't know what to do.
Whether you are a first-time TBU Comics podcast listener, a 13-year veteran, or anything in between, we'd love to hear what you think about this episode or any of the comics we discussed. Send emails to tbu@thebatmanuniverse.net. Join our Discord server linked at thebatmanuniverse.net. Send us a tweet at TBU_comics. Or, if you're a patron, leave us a comment on our Patreon page. We'd also love it if you left us a review on iTunes. We'd love to read your comments on the next episode of the Batman Universe Comics Podcast. Batman may claim he works alone, but we know that he needs the Bat Family. Join the TBU Bat Family and let us know what you think.
We don't have another review, so we're going to go straight into Greater Gotham. Starting with Batgirl's number 6. Again, thumbs up, thumbs down, neutral, or abstain.
Neutral, which I think is an improvement for me. Although I think it's mostly neutral because I think some of the storylines have been wrapped up.
One of them, yes.
Yeah, one of
There's
them.
like 5 more.
Oh, I know.
Abstain.
I'm going to go thumbs up. I think that this was a decent conclusion. And as Steph said, one of the 6 storylines is wrapped up. So hopefully they will move forward. And actually, I was really interested in the tease for the next issue. Urban Legends number 15.
Two thumbs and 2 toes down. I was enjoying the dog story, but it is dragging on and getting lamer and lamer and lamer, and that was the only thing that book had going for it. So just, what was the other story? It was the animals,
Zatanna and the birds of prey. The quote unquote fake and totally bad birds of prey.
That one was ridiculous too.
Wait, there was one more. What was the other one? Wasn't there 4?
I feel like there was. I think there was 4.
Oh, it's the Plastic Man team up. It's a
that wasn't awful.
I skipped that one.
I feel like if you were a Plastic Man fan, you would have thought that was fun.
Maybe that's the problem. I put down I didn't get the Terrifics because he was in it.
Thumbs all the way down. The Birds of Prey continues to be so offensive.
I didn't get my rating, but I assume you all could tell that it's a definite thumbs down. That Bruce and Zatanna story, I can't unsee it. All of this spirit jumping and body jumping, and I'm just done with it. And again, this is someone who really liked Vita Ayala and thought they did some hellified work, especially on some independent titles. But their work on Batman is just, Batman related stories. I don't know. And then the Birds of Prey that aren't birds.
Forget birds. They're not even heroes.
I think the only thing that I am holding out hope for is that Tamaki takes over this book and breathes some new life into it, because ever since the Red Hood story ended, this thing is just gone.
I didn't even think most of the stuff during the Red Hood story was good. Red Hood was fine, but like the other stuff.
Oh yeah, the Red Hood story
mediocre.
The Red Hood story made it worth reading. Again, it didn't make the $10 price tag worth it.
No,
but the Red Hood story was pretty good each issue. But
Grifter was awesome. You guys are crazy. I like
No,
the Grifter
Grifter was
story.
terrible. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love that one.
The only issue I liked of the Grifter story was when what's her name popped up and they were teasing Wildcats coming
Which
back.
went exactly nowhere.
0 places. I was highly disappointed because again we get teased with a Batgirl story and it's only a introduction of Batwoman, which is now canceled on CW, so it means absolutely nothing. But it's probably would have still been a better story than what we're getting in Batgirls now. But I'm abstaining from that. So I'm holding out hope that Tamaki takes over this book and breathes new life into it. But if not, just put it out of its misery and mine.
Please put us out of our misery. Stop publishing it so we can stop reviewing it. All right. Future State Gotham number 13. Speaking of Grifter.
This was almost a thumbs up.
Almost.
This was almost a thumbs up. They stole bits of the Catwoman Future State, which were great. They stole some Dan Mora from Tech, which was great. And we found other characters. Batman, Bruce is back in the book. Damian was in the book for 5 seconds. And then the book ended with Grifter with a flaming head coming out of the depths of hell with Batman 666. Oh, my poor heart couldn't take it.
And you want to give this a neutral?
I'm giving it a neutral because
God.
I can't. I have to keep reading.
Oh, two thumbs, my tongue, my toes, and everything else way down. That is an example of some lazy A writing. Yes, to just take bits and pieces out of other issues. And this was the problem I had with Tom King too, because he did that a few times where they would take panels and pages from other issues and put it in another story. But you take panels and out of other stories, which again was pretty good. You know, Future State Catwoman was probably the best.
It was awesome.
It was probably the best of the Future State Batman books. But
for sure.
But the way that was done, and to end it with a stupid looking grifter who no longer has a hood because his face is all burning, and to bring out Batman. And why call him Batman 666? He is not called Batman 666 in the pages of Batman number 666. He is called Batman. So why the hell do he come out and he say, I'm Batman 666? Who does that? Who?
The readers are dumb, Theo. They have to know.
Oh, it's so good. It's so terrible.
Just burn. If you have this issue on your pull list and you haven't read it yet, take my advice. Go and have a grill and use the pages to start the fire. And this was terrible. Just lazy and terrible. And I'm getting off my soapbox.
I am going to say this is a neutral because I have hated this book
Y'all
so
are
far.
both wrong. This is terrible.
And this was a step up because at least it had interesting ideas. However, it is really lazily written. I do not disagree with that.
Theo's opinions are all completely valid.
Because Theo is right. This was, and again, I've had a few abstains, but of all the books that I read for this podcast, outside of Batman, this was the worst. That's just terrible. Wow. That is just terrible. Wait, did I say that? Wait, I gotta look at the rest of the books. Yeah, it is just terrible. And I think what really did it, I probably could have accepted Ghost Rider Grifter, but when Damien steps out and he says, and he literally says, "I am Batman 666." I literally said, I hope you got a bleep on this, Steph. What the? And that's exactly how I felt. That was the dumbest thing I have ever read. And I don't get it. So, the words expressed by Theo do not represent the Batman universe. They are his and his alone, and he is right. Take that book and burn it. Just, just, just wipe it from memory with the rest of Future State. It's terrible.
It's certainly not great. I'll give you that for sure.
I'm just giving it a neutral because we're moving the story forward and Bruce is back. And
Yeah, that's kind of me too, because we're finally focusing on not Jason and not next Batman and not freaking next Joker.
I hate
Well, that okay. So since we bring up Batman, and I don't mean Bruce Wayne, I mean Dick Grayson, who
Dick
came up with
Grayson.
that
Alright.
stupid
costume was
terrible.
terrible.
That thing was, I'm like, I mean, it's bad enough Talia didn't cut her hair. It's dumb. It was dumb. That suit. I mean, who came up with that suit? Dick needs to take. If that was Gamby, he needs to go and knock him out again. Whoever created that suit needs to be ostracized. That was just a totally terrible issue. Lazy writing and just a terrible story. And I'm done.
Yes. We could do a whole episode tearing this issue to shreds, and it would deserve it, but I feel like we've given it enough of our time.
Yeah, it really doesn't deserve more time.
All right.
Because
I am Batman number 9.
Thumbs up. I actually enjoyed this issue. I don't like Tanya. Tanya, I don't understand what is up her butt. But other than that, I'm enjoying this book.
I really think something's going on with Tanya. And I hope we get to see exactly what that is before this book is canceled. Because something tells me that it's going to be real soon. But no, I'm with Steph. This is a thumbs up for me as well. And it wasn't as gory.
It wasn't. That was a good plus.
I'm going neutral. I just don't love this book. I'm still really salty about the fact that they're not using Luke, because I like Luke and I feel like they're doing him dirty.
Did he come with them to New York?
They haven't dealt with that. That's part of my salt is that they're just ignoring him. And I'm like, he's great. Why are you ignoring him? Batman Killing Time number 3.
Thumbs up, but I'm pretty sure someone made fun or teased Tom King because of his time jumping. And he's like, let me crank that up to 11. And then we're
going to jump
book
5,000 years into the past.
And then 5 minutes in the past. And then 2 minutes into the future. It's like, hold on, wait, what? What's going on?
The excessive time jumping really killed me. But yeah. I'm going to give it a neutral. But for me, that was worthy enough to give it a thumbs down. But I will give it a neutral.
I started out really hating this book, and I'm kind of positive now. So I am giving it a neutral for now, which I feel is good because I used to be like really thumbs down on it. Task Force Z number 7, now of 12.
Or as it's called in Canada, Task Force Z.
I am not Canadian.
Neutral, but holy moly, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's a little convoluted right now.
I don't think I've read one issue of this series, and it's going to remain that way.
I still think it's fun. It's getting a little forgettable at this point. There's kind of too many twists and turns and not enough character interactions, but I'm not hating it. I'm still enjoying it. Batman Beyond Neo Year number 2 of 6.
I forced myself to do that slog. I think I wrote down neutral. I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
Go for it. I
don't understand what this book is. I don't think this book knows what this book is.
It doesn't. This was like a complete side story. Nothing moved forward. Did you read this one? Theo?
No, it's an abstain for me. I meant to read it because I've been wanting to see if they were going to do a follow up from the whole Batman Beyond story with the supercomputer that's become sentient, but didn't get it in that first issue, and doesn't seem like, from what you all are saying, that it was touched in this one. So this might be.
I'll be honest, I don't
They
know.
do
Oh,
touch
it was
on
that
it.
weird. It was the weird. It was the
Snaky
weird
dudes.
snaky dude. That was so weird.
Who's the snaky dude?
This book is weird as heck, and
It's like this
it's moving
triple
so
snake
slowly.
creature. It's this triple snake creature that's like people, and so like there is some kind of they're also computer robots. I don't, but
they're
their heads
transhuman.
are.
They're like plugged into this big machine they made out of green wires that makes them into a big 3-headed snake.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I let's see. Did I rate this? No, I'm giving it a thumbs down. I don't understand why this book exists when we have Beyond the White Knight, Future State Gotham, and Batman Catwoman. We have enough future Batman. We have enough of those. Why do we need another one? We do not.
See, I don't care about that. As long as you do it well. I mean, you could have 100. I don't care.
I don't think they are doing it well.
They're not doing it well. They didn't do it well.
And we're going to end with Jurassic League #1, Justice League as dinosaurs, including Batman Allosaur.
I'm going to have to abstain. I forgot this book came out.
Oh my god, the story. I can't. I got to like half of it and I was like, you know what, screw it. No, thumbs down.
This was kind of a thumbs down for me too. I was excited about the concept, but it feels like actually reading it, it's just the main Justice League with dinosaur skins. It doesn't feel like it's taking advantage of the concept.
It's the artist, but I mean,
it's fine, but it's not Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at some of the panels. Some of the panels are taken straight from other issues of either Batman, Superman, or one. It's not great.
Yeah, I'm a bit bummed. I was hoping that this would really blow me away, and it didn't. I didn't hate it, but like I was hoping to really be excited, and I was just
I'm trying to, and I'm still trying to figure out. Did the kid transform into the alligator? I just don't. It's just hard to follow for me. Or is that a separate story where? So the alligator was found by humans and raised by humans. That's what happened, I think.
Yeah, and the introduction of humans just feels weird to me because like it's supposed to be dinosaurs. Why are there humans?
Yeah, because matter of fact, this is science, and humans and dinosaurs did not exist at the same time. But hey, they do here. So
I have dreams of riding a dinosaur, Theo. You can't stomp on my dreams.
Okay.
They can stomp on you.
That's right.
Oh no. Superman dinosaur will save me. Right, that brings us to the end of Greater Gotham. Now we have listener feedback.
Sorry to interrupt, Master Bruce. Ringing your phone now.
This needs my attention.
We had some really, really good conversations on the Discord, so we're going to try and get some highlights in from there.
Borvok on Discord says, just getting to the part where you guys are talking about the Gotham Girl backup. I personally never liked the character, and I'm still amazed that Tom King started his run on Batman with her as a main element. I did flip through the backup, but when I realized the only action in it was Gotham Girl being too special to get hurt in a fight, as she stood there doing nothing and feeling sorry for herself, I just passed on the whole thing. Did people forget that comics are about visual action instead of nonstop dialogue and internal drama that doesn't translate well to a visual medium? I feel the tortured soul angle is well overdone if there's no action to back it up, and even then it can be nauseating. I think I dislike Gotham Girl as a concept because I really feel like a Batman run should start at street level and either stay there or build from there. Putting new Superman level caped heroes into the first issue of a run is just setting an odd precedent for the whole run in general, in my opinion. I don't think King has a good concept of this. As in the proposal issue, I think that's where it was, he has Batman admitting that he could have superpowers if he wanted, but chose not to. I mean, what? From there, I think King had no idea what to do with Gotham Girl and instead fell back on inflicting trauma on her when she really had no personality to traumatize to begin with. I see it as a cheap and shallow way of generating interest that's subtractive rather than additive. At some point, you have to build characters up instead of tearing them down, especially when there's nothing there to tear down in the first place. From there, I think Sina Grace is following suit by just continuing to reflect on her supposed trauma. Unfortunately, I think internal brooding monologue is much easier to write than actual plot and action, but if DC is going to use her, I wish they'd give her stuff to actually do. As always, though, I have strong opinions about almost everything, and I'm sure others will see this differently.
I think that these are definitely valid reactions to the Gotham Girls story. I definitely didn't love it. I didn't hate it, and I do like the fact that we are exploring things from Tom King's run. I mean, that is now 3 runs ago. Kind of weird to think of that, but we are 3 readers after Tom King. For me, I would agree that Gotham Girl is not a very deep or developed character. She serves a plot purpose in the story. She's introduced as a way to keep the Justice League out of the city when Bane takes over. That is the point of her. And I kind of like that because she's evil, superpowered Robin to Flashpoint Batman. In terms of the we had a much longer conversation on the Discord about Batman and superpowers, but I still think that Batman, being one of the smartest people in the DC universe and having lots and lots of money and training, could make himself a superhero, but he really wants to. He doesn't want to cut himself off from humanity, and I think that all these dark multiverse Batmen who are evil kind of point out that Batman Bruce is not the kind of person who would handle superpowers well. I'm not a fan of all the dark multiverse Batman, but it does sort of indicate that the darkness tends to be something he has difficulty keeping at bay.
I also think that it kind of shows that it takes more than just powers to be a superhero. Like Gotham Girl and Gotham, which Gotham was a stupid name for a superhero in Gotham. But anyway, like it takes more than good intentions to be a hero. And I think that kind of fell apart for them. I will keep going. De La Queso on Discord also says, I don't know. I sort of like Gotham Girl. At least the backup is making her interesting right now. But I also get what you mean. I feel like Tom King puts a lot of dialogue in his comics to the point that it often gets boring or a little overwhelming. Like, I love his recent Supergirl comic, but man, there was a lot of narration. I can agree with that.
I do too. I gave up on Supergirl particularly because of that. Because I was loving the art, but man, the dialogue was just. You know how you like to tell people you talk too much.
Mm-hmm.
Those pages literally talk too much.
Yeah, I didn't read Supergirl, but I can totally.
Well, at least from my opinion, you did not miss much.
I don't know. I kind of like the Supergirl comic. My biggest problem is that I was really burnt out on after Strange Adventures, so I kind of was like, I didn't read the whole thing, but I did kind of like the ending. It does have a ton of narration, like so much.
Which, I mean, that I can understand, and I totally agree that can be just awful to read and boring and terrible and stupid. But if you enjoy it, like if they're saying something you're interested in, then you're just going to gobble it up and it'll be fine because it's basically prose with art in it, which is fine. But if it's not your cup of tea, you're not going to want to read it.
I mean, and that's probably
Most people.
Yeah, that's it's definitely me. Batcat is the only. So the last complete series, maxi series I got from Tom King was Mr. Miracle. I just couldn't get through Strange Adventures. I didn't pick up Rorschach. I I gave up on Supergirl. The Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, books, sometimes the pages just talk too much. And I plan on, and I'm going to finish up Batcat, and I'm reading Killing Time for the podcast, but I am not picking it up in my poll. I don't know where things have gone wrong between me and Tom. Tom, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But I don't know. The storytelling just hasn't been. I don't know. I maybe it's me just feeling jaded over issue 50 still. And I know that's years ago, and I need to get over it, but I'm not. But the storytelling with Tom King has just been not great for me.
Let's move to Caspian.
Caspian73 on Discord says, I don't think there's a lot of there to Gotham Girl's character, but I guess if you look at it objectively, there's a lot of trauma there. What with Arkham and her family and Bane and all that. Interested to see someone pick her up at least. I didn't think I Am Gotham was the strongest opening arc, but I think I might have to reread it for the nth time to see if King was saying anything deeper about why only Batman can be Gotham's hero and why he doesn't need superpowers. It's kind of weird that he came off Vision, which was super deep and provocative, and then wrote I Am Gotham, which to me was kind of milquetoast. Milquetoast. I have vaguely I've heard that word.
It's an old Hollywood actor who was famed for playing a very sort of nebbish character.
Oh, okay. Nebbish. I thought it was a type of bread that you could just put in the toaster.
It's like, no. Is it milk toast? Is that what the young kids are eating these days? I also agree with Ian that Porter is better than Penciletta. Everyone looks like they had too much plastic surgery.
Yay!
Let me just say before
Porter looks like everyone's face is melting off.
Yes,
and it did not look that way in Flash. I don't get it. I'm not gonna get on that soapbox again. But let me just say, I think things with Gotham Girl might have been better, at least when it comes to what's going on in the backup, had we known she was already in the tower. I mean, so everything goes on with the tower, especially after they figure out it's Pirate. And all of the heroes come to help out, including Lady Clayface and all these CD level wannabes. And there's no Gotham Girl, and obviously Bruce had to know she was there, and she was just kind of dropped on us. And again, as I said in my review, this is a character that, up until this issue, the only voice we had was Tom King's, and we've had zero development since then, except for that one issue she may have appeared in. I can't remember what book that was. But I don't know, to have her just dropped on us the way she did in this backup, it's just meh. Kind of worse than my thoughts on Duke Thomas when he made his appearance. Doesn't seem like anyone knows what to do with the character.
All right, and our last comment from Spider-Boy N2 Jesus.
Okay, so why is he Spider-Boy on a Batman Discord? I'm gonna have to ask him that.
That's a question for him.
That's right.
Hopefully he'll answer.
Maybe he will. Are you listening?
Why is your name Spider-Boy? Although when your Discord name is whatever, And then you can change it for different servers.
Yes,
so
you
maybe
can.
he just also is part of Spider.
Change your name. I'll pay you. Not much.
I changed my
but
name for different servers.
I do too. I think. Yeah, I do.
I mean, I sort of agree, but this is the DC universe we're talking about here. LOL. Sweating, laughing face? Tear? Not sure. Wet.
Crying, laughing.
Laugh, sweating. Batman could totally get powers if he wanted, but why would he? LOL. He's basically peak human, at least in that he has a decent mastery of most trades, opposite of jack of all trades, master of none, which is how he almost exclusively works out for actual humans. That's all he needs. I think that's more the point that was being made. LOL. Winky face.
I just can't see Batman with powers. And I think, like many people, the attraction to him as a character is because he has no powers. He's just peak human, and peak.
That's why I'm here.
Oh, you're also here for Guru Raz and
Guru Raz.
All right, that wraps up the discussion on the podcast of what happened. But of course, there was a lot more discussion. We kind of tried to pick the highlights. And of course, if you want to comment on that, if you're listening, you are free to join the Discord and jump in yourself. We're open, no special anything required. Just go to the website, thebatmanuniverse.net, and join the Discord. I want to take a little time to thank all of our patrons. At a certain level, we read your name on the podcast, and that time is now. So it is Lisa Slack, Ian Miller, Gerald Green, Joshua Lappin-Bertoni, Rob O., Tim Garassi, Robert Lewis, Stephanie Mounts, Donovan Morgan Grant, Stanton's Grave, Donald Townsend, Ed Grouse, Captain America, Mary Garrett, Austin Davis, Johnny McCloskey, Cesar Diaz, Jessica Morales, and David Richards. Thank you all. You help us keep the show on the air and everything going. So we couldn't keep all our podcast archive on the net without you. That wraps up our episode. I hope that you enjoyed this shorter review, but we get a little more expanded version of the Greater Gotham. Had a lot more discussion there, and a lot more discussion with the listener feedback. And I would love if we had a similar problem next time, where there was a lot of discussion and we could pick highlights again. So until next time, I've been your host, Ian.
This is Steph.
And this is Theo.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Did we lose you, Theo?
No, I was trying to find the name of the backup.
Oh,
I got it real quick.
That was DC Thinking Part 55. That's the name of the backup.
You mean 1 billion?
1 billion.
1 billion and 2.
That was your intro music.